They don't mark Route 77B on any official maps anymore. You won't find it in a GPS system, and if you ask a cop about it, they'll just tell you it was decommissioned back in the late 90s. Washed out. Too dangerous, they say. Landslides. Rock falls. Animal crossings. Whatever excuse gets you to stay off it. But every trucker who's been long hauling through the back end of West Virginia knows the stories. We call it the back road to hell, and somehow, if you drive enough graveyard shifts through the mountain hollers between Clay County and Nicholas, you might just find yourself on 77B. Without even trying. That's what happened to me, and I'd probably be dead by now. Or worse, if not for the rules. I was behind on my truck payments. Dispatch hadn't called in a week. The only thing left in my wallet was an old driver's license with a cracked photo and the last $10 in fuel cash. That's when I found the flyer tacked up at a rundown diner outside Galley Bridge. Need drought. No questions. Midnight run. $1,500 cash. Deliver to Cedar Ridge. Coal station. Meet at Staunton truck lot. Ask for Gary. I almost tossed it. Cedar Ridge hadn't been operational in years. One of those black lung ghost towns where the mines collapsed in on themselves and the workers just stopped going home. But money is money, and I'd driven stranger runs for half the payout. I pulled into Staunton around 11:30 p.m., only one other semi in the lot, an old Peterbilt sleeper with a Confederate flag decal on the bumper. Hood open, cab lights off, no one inside. The place was dead quiet. Then I heard boots scuffing behind me. "You here for the Cedar Ridge job?" the voice said. The guy was wiry, in his 60s maybe, with weathered skin and a denim jacket that looked older than me. His name tag, if you could call a patch stitched on with dental floss a name tag, Gary. "I guess so," I said. "This a coal shipment?" Gary grunted. "Something like that." He handed me a manila envelope. Inside was a laminated delivery slip, $300 in cash for gas, and a single sheet of yellow paper, folded 5 times. Oil-stained, faded handwriting in block letters across the top. Rules for driving reach 77B. Do not lose this sheet. I almost laughed. What is this, some initiation prank? Gary's face didn't move. "You'll find 77B about 20 miles past Red Lick," he said. "It'll look like a fire road, no signs. If your GPS goes out, you're in the right place. If you see the road twice, you're not." He turned to leave but paused. "Follow the rules, son, no matter what." I climbed into the cab and sat there staring at the paper under the dome light. The handwriting looked like it had been traced over a dozen times. Different pens, different pressure, like someone had been desperate to make sure the words stayed visible. Rules for Route 77B. Read before entry. Do not stop between the 2nd and 6-mile markers, no matter who or what is in the road. Ignore flashing lights behind you. There are no state troopers on 77B. If the same gas station appears more than once, shut off your lights for exactly 33 seconds. Then keep driving. If you hear someone on CB Channel 3 calling your name, do not answer. Do not honk after mile 9. Not even once. If your odometer hits 777.7, cover your eyes for 7 seconds, not one more, not one less. You must leave the road by 4:44 a.m., or you won't leave at all. I started the engine. The radio clicked on by itself and buzzed with static before dying again. I didn't like that. About 25 miles into the mountains, my GPS froze, just stopped refreshing. The screen glitched, then went black. I figured I'd lost signal. No big surprise out here. Then the road started looking off. Potholes too deep. Asphalt sunken and cracked like it hadn't been patched in decades. No mile markers. Just rusted out posts leaning like old bones in the fog. I was just about to turn around when I passed an old wooden sign, hanging crooked from a barbed wire fence. 77B. State, use only, no throw traffic. No streetlights, No houses, no pull-offs, just trees on both sides, pressed so close I could hear branches scraping against the trailer. It was like driving through a tunnel of bones. Then I hit mile marker 2. It was a battered green post with peeling white numbers, and about 50 feet ahead, in the middle of the lane, was someone standing in the dark. They were barefoot, wearing hospital scrubs, thin, pale, hair hanging over their face like wet seaweed. They didn't move, just stared at me. I tapped the horn. Nothing, no reaction. Then they raised their arm and pointed directly at me. I slowed to a crawl. Every instinct screamed to stop, roll the window, yell out, help them. But Rule 1 was burned into my brain. Do not stop between the 2nd and 6th mile markers, no matter who or what is in the road. So kept rolling. 5 miles per hour, then 10. Closer, closer. The figure didn't flinch. And then they stepped backward into the trees, vanished without a sound. I let out the breath I'd been holding. My knuckles were white on the steering wheel. I checked the mirrors. Nothing behind me. Nothing but darkness and fog. Then I noticed something odd in the reflection. The red brake lights were glowing, but I hadn't touched the pedal, and someone was sitting in the jump seat. I turned. It was empty. I don't remember the next few minutes. I think I blacked out or dissociated. I just remember the next mile marker, mile 3, and my own voice whispering in the back of my head. You're already on the road. You might as well finish it. I hit mile marker 4 with sweat trickling down my back and hands trembling around the wheel. The radio buzzed again, just like it did back at the lot. A high-pitched whine, like an old TV warming up. Then it snapped into static. At first I thought it was random noise, but after a few seconds, the sound began to form syllables, then words. A voice came through on CB Channel 3. Breaker? Breaker! You there, Mason? It's Mom, sweetheart. Are you okay? I damn near swerved off the road. I hadn't heard that voice in 5 years. Not since I buried her. She'd died in a hospice bed outside Charleston. I'd held her hand when she stopped breathing. Now she was calling me on the CB. I'm so proud of you, the voice continued, calm, sweet, familiar. But you shouldn't have taken this job. Come home, please. You can still turn around. I reached for the mic out of instinct. My fingers hovered over the button. But then I remembered. Rule 4. If you hear someone on CB Channel 3 calling your name, do not answer. I yanked the mic out of the socket and threw it in the passenger footwell. The voice didn't stop. Why won't you talk to me, Mason? Are you ashamed? You left me to die alone. You never said goodbye. You never said you loved me. I gritted my teeth and turned up the heater fan to drown her out. It didn't help. The voice wasn't in the speaker anymore. It was coming from the back of the sleeper cab. I locked the cabin door and gripped the wheel so tight I thought I'd break it. Another mile marker passed in a blur. Mile 5. That's when I saw the gas station. It came out of nowhere. A flickering neon "open" sign in the trees, lighting up a rusted-over gas pump and a fogged-out service window. Looked like it hadn't been touched since the 60s, is the kind of place where you don't ask what kind of meat's in the jerky. The strange thing was, I'd passed this exact station 10 minutes earlier, before the voice started. Same broken floodlight, same vending machine with shattered glass, same payphone dangling off the hook. I checked the laminated rule sheet again, hands shaking. Rule 3. If the same gas station appears more than once, shut off your lights for exactly 33 seconds. Then keep driving. I didn't want to stop, but I sure as hell didn't want to loop this place again. So, I clicked off my headlights. The dashboard went dark. The cab turned cold. Pitch black. I started counting out loud. 1, 2, 3. The fog outside the windshield started to move. Not drift, move. Like it was watching me. Shapes pressed against the glass. Pale hands, faces. None of them looked human. 17, 18, one of them whispered my name. Massett, 25, 26. The cab creaked like someone was climbing on the roof. I could hear something dragging metal along the top, slow, scraping, like claws. 32, 33. I flicked the headlights back on. The road was empty, gas station gone, fog cleared. But the scrape marks were still there, gouged into the paint across my hood. 4 deep lines. I didn't stop to inspect them. I passed mile 6 and finally let myself breathe again. I thought that meant I was past the worst of it, but that was before the road began to change. It narrowed. Trees started to lean inward, forming almost a tunnel above me. The temperature dropped, and frost gathered on the inside of the windshield. The odometer ticked up. 777.6 miles. I braced myself. Then, 777.7. The dashboard lights turned red. The engine growled, almost like it wanted to stall. The air pressure gauge dropped suddenly. I slammed the brakes. Remembered Rule 6. If your odometer hits 797.7, cover your eyes for 7 seconds. Not one more, not one less. I closed my eyes and counted. 1, 2. The sound started at 3. A low, wet gurgling beneath the engine, like something was crawling through my undercarriage, tapping on the floorboards. At 5, the cab door creaked open. At 6, something breathed warm air on the side of my neck. At 7, I opened my eyes. The door was shut. Cab empty. The engine is still running. But something had left a smear of dark sludge on the seat beside me. Like it had been sitting there. I didn't stop. I didn't think. I just floored it. The next few miles passed in a blur. I drove faster than I should have. Trees zipped by. The world outside got darker and darker, even though it should have been nearing dawn. Then I passed mile 9. I don't know why I did it. Maybe it was panic. Maybe it was just defiance. But as I swerved to avoid a deer that darted out of the trees, my elbow smacked the horn. Once. Just one short, accidental blast. The sound echoed through the mountains. Then everything went still. No wind. No engine noise. Even the wheels weren't humming. Then I heard it. Something honked back. But it didn't sound like a horn. It sounded like a scream. The echo didn't fade. It just kept going. That warped, drawn-out screech, carrying across the hills like something ancient had been woken up by the sound of my horn. I felt it in my teeth. Like a pressure shift in a plane, only it was inside my skull. Then the air changed. It got thick. Greasy, almost. The windows fogged over, even though the defroster was on full blast. I rubbed at the glass with my sleeve and looked out, trying to keep my eyes on the road, but there was no road. Just trees, endless trees. But the truck kept moving forward. It didn't make sense. I hadn't turned. There hadn't been any forks or exits. But suddenly the highway was gone, replaced with a narrow dirt path, barely wide enough for the rig. Pine boughs scraped both sides of the cab like claws against tin. I grabbed the laminated rules again, my fingers trembling, flipped it over. The back was blank. No new instructions, just the same list, still slightly damp from earlier. I scanned down to Rule 7, even though I hadn't hit mile 10 yet. Rule 7. If the road disappears, keep driving forward. Do not reverse. Do not stop. Do not speak. I swallowed hard. My throat was dry. The air felt wrong, like it wasn't meant for lungs. Something flickered in the corner of my vision. A silhouette between the trees, tall and hunched. It kept pace with me as I drove, one long arm trailing along the treetops like it was testing me. Then it bent forward and looked straight through the passenger window. No face, just an impression of one. like the memory of a face you've tried to forget. I didn't blink, didn't breathe, I just kept going. The tires bounced and creaked under the weight, but the path never buckled. Somehow, impossibly, it held. Then, after what felt like hours, the forest broke. I passed a sign, mile 10. Just like that, the paved road returned beneath me. The rig leveled out. I was back on 77B. But my mirrors didn't reflect anything anymore. Just a blank void behind me. No road, no sky, just black. Up ahead, something loomed on the shoulder. A figure in a yellow raincoat, holding a red flare. I slowed down. Not because I wanted to, because something in my chest twisted, like my body knew I needed to. She stepped into the headlights. Mid-30s, blonde hair, eyes like someone who hadn't slept in a month. Her clothes were clean but old-fashioned, like they'd been picked out in 1983 and never updated. She held out her hand, not for a ride, but to give me something. A cassette tape. She pressed it against the glass on my driver's side window. I cracked it open a few inches and took it, just to make the moment end. She said one thing before backing away. "He's getting closer." Then she was gone. No footsteps, no running, just there 1 second, gone the next. The tape was unlabeled, plain black, no case. I didn't want to play it. Every part of me screamed not to. But I had an old tape deck in the dash, mostly for weather alerts. I popped it in. It clicked once. Then a voice played. Male, calm, gravelly. It was me. Mile 11, don't look in the passenger mirror. Mile 12, keep your hands on the wheel, even if they start bleeding. Mile 13, don't believe anything that smiles at you. The voice continued, reciting rules that weren't on the sheet, specific mile markers and warnings, detailed ones. Mile 14, you'll see her again. She's not real. Don't stop this time. I ejected the tape and tossed it onto the floor. My hands were shaking too badly to keep going, but I had no choice. 77B doesn't let you pull over. I passed mile 11. Instinct made me glance at the side mirror, and I saw myself in the passenger seat. Only older. Hair grayer, cheeks sunken, wearing a different shirt than I was. Eyes wide with terror. And he mouthed a single word to me, "Don't." Then he disappeared. Mile 12. That's when the steering wheel started to throb, not vibrate, throb. Like something alive was pulsing through it. I gripped it harder, just like the tape said. Then I felt something sharp push out of the leather, tiny barbs like fish hooks digging into my palms. I screamed but didn't let go. Blood ran down my wrists and soaked into the cuffs of my shirt, but I held on. Finally, the truck groaned and lurched forward, like something had let go of the axles. I passed mile 13. That's when I saw the hitchhiker. A boy, maybe 19, pale, rail-thin, grinning ear to ear with empty black eyes. His thumb wasn't out, but he was staring directly at me as I passed, just standing there, grinning. As I drove past, he tilted his head, not like a person, but like a marionette. His smile widened impossibly. He mouthed something. I'm almost in. Then he vanished in the rear view. I kept going, not because I'm brave, because I knew there was no turning back now. Mile 14 came with a warning I hadn't noticed before. There, painted in dripping red across an old warped billboard, "Do not stop for gas." The billboard leaned at an angle, like the trees were trying to push it out of the way. Just beneath the words was a painted face, cartoonish, too wide, too bright, a grinning attendant in a red cap. Only his eyes were blacked out with paint that hadn't dried. It dripped as I passed. Sure enough, the gas station sat just up the bend. An old Sunoco-looking place, half swallowed by the fog. One flickering pump. Neon signs stuttering, open in frantic flashes. An old station wagon sat out front, engine idling but no one inside. As I rolled by, my truck started to slow. Not because I let off the gas, it just dragged, like someone had tossed an anchor out the back. I glanced down. Fuel gauge, empty. That wasn't right. I'd fueled up just before entering 77B. I always did. Standard protocol. She should have had at least 600 miles in her. But the needle now hovered below E, past the red line. Then the engine sputtered. The station got closer. No. I squeezed the wheel, bloody hands burning, and growled through my teeth. "Keep going," I told her. "We don't stop, not here." For a second I thought the truck would die. The headlights dimmed, the dashboard blinked, but I held my foot on the gas like a prayer. The engine coughed and caught. We rode past the station just as something stepped out from behind the pump. It looked like the gas station attendant from the billboard. Same red cap, same pressed uniform. But his mouth hung open like it was broken, stretching far too wide, jaws swaying slightly as if it had unhinged. I heard something click. He waved, slow and stiff, and just like that, the station vanished behind me. No more sign, no station, just road. I didn't look back. Mile 15. Something was wrong with the radio. I hadn't touched it. Hell, I never touched the dial on this stretch. But it kicked on by itself, dead center on the AM band, crackling with static. Then the voice came through. "You're not supposed to be here." Female, soft, familiar. "You broke Rule 3. You talked to someone who shouldn't exist." The woman from the side of the road. The one with the cassette. Her voice was clearer now, like she was sitting in the cab with me. "He's in the cab with you now, you know. Been riding since mile 11. My breath caught. I scanned the mirrors. Nothing. But in the corner of my eye, I could have sworn something twitched behind the passenger seat. He doesn't like when you listen to me. That's why he's smiling. I reached for the radio to turn it off, but the knob was gone. Just a flat, smooth surface where the dials should have been. The volume climbed on its own. "Hell, take your voice if you speak again. Just listen." I gritted my teeth, forced myself to stay silent. I felt him behind me now. Heavy, cold presence, like sitting too close to a freezer. Like gravity bent wrong behind my shoulder. And then, just like that, the radio died again. Mile 16. The rules hadn't said anything about mile 16, but I didn't like what I saw. The road changed. The asphalt was gone again, replaced by cobblestone. Wet, gleaming, uneven. Like an old Roman street that had no business being in the West Virginia hills. The fog thickened until it was more like a mist, a low-hanging curtain of white that clung to the grill and smeared the windshield. Then the trees disappeared altogether. I was driving through a graveyard. Endless rows of headstones on both sides of the road, many cracked or broken, some leaning, some still fresh. No names, just mile markers. Mile 7, mile 12, mile 19. Then I saw one that chilled me to the bone. Mile 16. Driver 553 JD. That was my truck's ID. I almost stopped. Almost, but Rule 5 came back to me. Do not acknowledge the graves. They acknowledge you enough. I looked straight ahead and kept rolling. Out of the mist, I began to see people, standing motionless between the tombstones, watching me pass. All of them wore uniforms. From truckers, postal drivers, highway patrol, even a nurse. Each one frozen mid-step, mouths open, eyes locked on the truck. One of them, a man with a red flannel shirt and mirrored sunglasses, reached out as I passed. He touched the side of my trailer, and it screamed. Not the brakes, not the tires. The metal itself screamed like it was in pain. I pressed the gas and didn't stop until the graveyard fell behind me. Mile 17. There was a new rule on the seat beside me. I hadn't put it there. written in black marker on the back of a worn diner napkin. Rule 10. At mile 17 he will finally speak. Don't listen. Don't ever listen. The voice behind me said, "You've made it further than most." That voice again. You've made it further than most. It didn't sound threatening. It sounded proud. But I didn't respond. Bubbling, because of Rule 10. And because I could hear him shifting in the passenger seat now, slowly stretching his limbs like something that hadn't moved in a very long time. The air inside the cab thickened. The windshield fogged from the inside, even though I hadn't exhaled. I could see my breath, but not in front of me. No, the fog came from his side, from his lungs. Then I heard it. A long, rattling inhale that scraped the back of my neck. He was breathing in. Mile 18 brought a change in scenery. I hadn't realized I was ascending, but suddenly I was at the top of a ridge. The road thinned, almost vanishing under a carpet of pine needles and soft moss. No guardrails, just a sheer drop into dark, forested slopes below. In the distance, I saw lights. A dozen pairs, hovering above the tree line like street lamps, but they flickered too much, wavered like they were suspended from something that swayed. Then I saw what held them. Massive antlers. Shapes stood in the woods, tall and impossibly lean, their silhouettes blending with the tree trunks. And at the top of each shape was a crown of bone, branching and tangled like dead lightning. From those antlers hung lanterns, some modern, some ancient, and a few human-looking. Eyes that glowed like gas flames. I flicked my brights off, slowed to a crawl. A sign appeared at the roadside, barely visible in the mist. Mile 18. Do not flash your lights. They see enough. I kept my eyes forward, gripped the wheel until my fingers ached. One of them stepped closer. I saw the glint of its teeth. They were smiling. All of them were, but they didn't move onto the road. They just watched. The truck rolled through like I'd passed a test, and then they were gone. Mile 19. A toll booth. Yes, a damn toll booth. Out here, where no one should be. It looked abandoned. One light on, swaying. No visible worker inside. But the red and white barrier arm blocked the road. A little box sat outside the window. I pulled up, cautiously, and saw what was printed on it. Payment required to proceed. Choose one. Memory blood name. Passenger. I felt him turn to look at me then. That thing in my cab. His mouth moved slowly, creaking open like rusted iron. I still didn't look at him, but I could hear the suggestion inside my head. Choose me. It's why I came. It's why I stayed. The thought of handing him over, of pressing the fourth button and ridding myself of this nightmare, itched at my bones. But I remembered Rule 8. Never sacrifice someone or something else. The price will return with interest. And besides, I had no guarantee that he would actually leave. What if pressing that button simply unleashed him? So I chose name. I pressed the third button. It lit up faintly, then vanished. The barrier arm rose. No fanfare, no sound. Voice. But I felt something leave me. I opened my mouth to say my name, to even think it. And nothing came. I couldn't recall it, couldn't even form the shape of it on my tongue. The trucker I'd been before I turned onto Route 77B, he didn't exist anymore. Just a wheel, a road, a set of rules. And the thing in the passenger seat, still grinning. Mile 20, I saw a truck ahead of me, parked sideways across both lanes. Its lights were off. Driver's door swung wide open. I slowed. Leaned out the window. The cab was empty. No blood, no signs of a struggle. Just a clipboard on the dash, and a CB mic swinging gently from the hook, still warm. I got out. That was my second mistake. The moment my boots hit the pavement, the forest reacted. Branches groaned. The wind hissed like a whispering crowd. I grabbed the clipboard and bolted back into my cab, but not before seeing something scurry underneath the parked truck. Long arms, too many knees. I started my rig and maneuvered around the other truck, heart pounding. Back on the road, I read the clipboard under the glow of the dash. Driver, unknown. Violation, Rule 4. Stopped for help status, claimed. Below that was a list of other drivers, scribbled out names, dates, most of them recent. All of them gone. The bottom line was empty, waiting. As I passed into mile 21, the voice beside me said, "You're close." I dared to look just once. I regretted it immediately. What sat beside me wasn't a man. Not anymore. It wore my face, or maybe just a face. Too perfect, too still, like a mask stretched over a skull that didn't quite fit. Its eyes were black pinholes, and its smile, that awful, knowing smile. It whispered, "Next mile is your last. Mile 22? The last mile." I didn't need the rules to tell me. I felt it in the engine's idle, in the way the tires gripped the road like it didn't want to let go. Everything slowed, heavy and deliberate. The mists thickened, now a dense wall pressing in from every side. Trees arched overhead like cathedral beams, branches clawing toward each other to blot out the moon. And beside me, still grinning, still watching, was him, the copy, the thing that looked like me. He didn't speak this time, just drummed his fingers on the dash in perfect sync with my own heartbeat. Tap, tap, tap. I focused on the road. A new sign appeared, swinging from a single rusted chain. Mile 22. Do not look back. Not even once. The road narrowed, and then it stopped altogether. Dead end. A pitch-black tunnel yawned open in the center of the road. Too small for the truck, too dark to see inside. A signpost stood to its right, nearly buried in weeds. Exit walk only, bring nothing, look forward. I checked the passenger seat. He was gone. No sound, no flash, just vanished. I sat for a while, maybe a minute, maybe an hour. I thought about just turning around, but I already knew what the rules would say about that. This road didn't offer do-overs. So I opened the door, stepped down, took only the flashlight from my glove box, and walked. The tunnel wasn't made of stone or brick. It was flesh. The walls pulsed, warm and damp like the inside of something alive. The air stank of copper and rotting paper. Behind me, the truck's headlights dimmed and flickered out. I didn't look back. I walked deeper. My boots sloshed in shallow, unseen water. The light from my flashlight barely pierced the murk. Shadows rippled but never quite moved. I felt things brush past me. Thin, hair-like strands. Breaths. Then a voice, my voice, echoed up from ahead. "Me, are you leaving me?" I froze. Another voice. My mother's this time. "You forgot us." Then dozens of them. Friends, old teachers, strangers, all of them pleading. "Don't go. We were real. You were never meant to leave." Each voice chipped at me, tried to draw my eyes backward, tried to remind me of who I was, or thought I'd been, but I didn't stop. The rules didn't allow it. Do not look back. After what felt like miles, the tunnel opened into a clearing. Soft grass, a breeze, stars overhead, wrong stars, constellations I didn't recognize. The sky was bruised purple, lit by a crescent moon that faced the wrong direction. And in the center of the clearing stood a door, just a door frame, no walls. It swayed gently, suspended on nothing. The number 23 was carved into the top beam. Below it, a sign that simply read, "Final rule, open only if you've obeyed." I stood there, heart hollow, head spinning, and I realized something that made my blood go cold. I hadn't obeyed all the rules. Back on mile 17, when the trucker's voice came through the CB, I said his name aloud. Just once. I hadn't even realized it at the time. And now... The door didn't open. Instead, something opened behind me. A howl. Wet footsteps. Fast. Whatever I'd left behind. Whatever I should have sacrificed or left untouched. It was coming. And this time, there were no more rules to protect me. So I ran. Not forward, not back, just into the woods. I don't remember how long I ran. Maybe I didn't stop. Maybe I never did. But at some point I was stumbling down an embankment, through dead leaves and briars and a cold wind that sliced like razors. Eventually I hit pavement again. Not 77B, just a road. Unmarked. And somehow I was standing beside my truck. It was parked under a flickering gas station light. My rig, but not quite. The license plate was wrong, the paint duller, like it had aged without me. My reflection in the window stared back, and it wasn't quite me either. I've tried to explain all this to people, cops, friends, a therapist once. Doesn't matter, they look at me like I'm insane. I've searched for Route 77B on every map, asked every local. They say it used to exist, an old logging road, but it was shut down after a landslide, back in the 60s. No one drives it now. No one can. But sometimes on long hauls, my GPS glitches. Just a flicker. It'd say 77B in the top corner. Only for a second, I shut it off immediately. I know better now. Because that place still wants me. And because I'm still missing something. A name. My real name. And one day, maybe soon, that road will come calling again. And it will offer me a second chance to obey the rules. But this time, it won't let me walk away.